That's a really huge concept and running theme in my work is legacy. And um it started before my daughter was born, of me wanting to leave behind something, and tell some stories and have that be part of my story. But it amplified once my daughter was born. And so a lot of the works that I create, especially street art pieces, I have her, at the center of those pieces, when it comes to murals and stuff like that. Because one, I want it to be a time capsule of, where she is, and basically I can point to any of those murals and see, like, that's when she was 1 years old, that's when she was 2 years old, that's when she was three.
That's dope.
That
Like I
is
said, just
dope.
like a time capsule, but also, you know, when I'm not around anymore, if those murals are still here, 15, 20, 30, 50 years from now, God forbid, if I'm not around, then she'll still be able to, I'm basically leaving like little love letters all over, the world for her to find and to be able to see, my daddy did that. And so that legacy is definitely something that's huge in everything that I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Welcome to another episode of DADS Podcast. My name is Clint.
My name is Mal.
And we back. And we back with a very special guest, Mr. Jeremy Biggers.
A
I'm saying that right?
Jamaican air horn. Bum 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 bum. Yeah.
I don't want to be too loud in the mic. Yeah, we got Jeremy Biggers today, award-winning artist, very dope individual, found via TikTok, via IG.
Hey.
Very multi-talented man.
Yeah, multi-talented. You do videography also, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I can tell there's a Canon on you right now. I can see it. I see the quality. But yeah, say what's up to the people, Jeremy.
What up?
And everything like that. We're gonna definitely get to that later again, but just let the people know where they can find you, and
Yeah, so my name is Jeremy Biggers. I'm a painter primarily based out of Dallas, Texas, but also filmmaker and photographer. I went to school for graphic design, so I do a little bit of everything creatively. And I've been doing this for a long time. So yeah,
awesome.
It's been a wild ride.
I did want to ask you. Hopefully, I'm not being rude because I don't want to make you seem like you're an old dude, but I also don't want to mess around with your age and say that you're
I'm old. No, I'm old. Yeah, no, I'm old.
I was just wondering how old you were.
Yeah, I'm 40.
Oh man, you don't look 40 and black don't fucking crack. Love it.
Yeah, I'm out here in these 40-year-old streets, waking up with a sore back after not doing anything.
We ain't that far behind you.
Sore hips, sore knees.
Just wake up in the morning, say, where's that
crack?
Like, yeah, man, it's a real thing. It definitely, I listen to my parents, my uncles, all of them complain about stuff like that.
Yeah.
That letting out some sort of exclamation every time they sit down or stand up or stretch or whatever. I'm like, yo, I get that. That's the thing, for real.
Yeah, I've joined that club.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Question. Your love of art. Where did that come from? Like how did you start? Like that part of your upbringing? Did your mom or dad like get you started like real young, or like what's up with that?
Yeah, so neither of my parents were creatives. They both Well, my mom more so than my dad, but my mom definitely saw creativity in me, and so she, not knowing anything about art, she tried her damnedest to get me in front of everything she could that she knew to get me in front of. So, back when I was a kid, back in my day, the only way that people thought you could make money being an artist was being either an animator for Disney or a graphic designer. And so I went to school for graphic design, and she basically was trying to put me, like I said, just in anything she could put me into to kind of funnel me towards animation studio stuff. And I grew up in the 90s, so Lion King and Little
Disney,
Mermaid and Aladdin and all that stuff
golden
was
era.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's definitely, what she was basing that on. So she was just trying to push me in that direction. And so I went to an art high school here in Dallas, Booker T. Washington,
Oh, man.
that I never knew anything about, but she did her research pre-internet and found out about it and definitely made me go, audition and talk to them and get into that school. So
Okay.
once I got into that school, then that kind of opened my eyes, because I grew up in the hood. I never made it off of my block prior to getting to high school, so
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a whole world
Yeah,
out there. I
whole
didn't know
other
that there
world,
was art and all that stuff. So like growing up in the hood, as I'm sure every hood in America can attest to, there's very few high caliber art pieces. You have like a lot of people that their uncle, their cousin, somebody they know that is an artist doing a mural on a building. That was the extent of me seeing art outside of movies or outside of comic books.
Yeah, definitely.
So once I got to Booker T, I was the only person growing up in the hood that I knew that could draw, and so I was like that guy, in my previous schools before high school. And then when I got to high school and every single person was an artist, every single person, coming from the more affluent parts of Dallas,
Yeah.
they had lessons since they were kids. They had like private tutors and private lessons. And so I thought I was hot shit until I got to school and then saw like, yo, these people are so much better than me. These people are so far ahead of where I am skill wise. And me, being competitive as hell, I took it as let me, like, yeah, you're better than me right now. But now that I know what the level that I need to raise my level to, then like it's a wrap for y'all. So yeah. So yeah, it definitely was a matter of me being hyper borderline unhealthily competitive, and getting myself to be on par with what they were already, the however many year head start they had on me. So like I said, I've always had a love for drawing, but it wasn't until I got to high school that I realized there was painting and design and other stuff that
different textures and everything like that.
Yeah.
So were you like the go-to guy for like guys trying to get their girls and like get them like super creative drawings of roses and like butterflies?
Oh yeah, that was me all day. Yeah, that was me all day. Back then it was, if you could draw a cartoon character, again, the 90s was the golden era for a lot of stuff. So it was always, draw me Bart Simpson, draw me a Ninja Turtle, draw me, like, it was all the greatest hits of hitting those things that, like Looney Tunes and all that stuff. Like that was everybody hit me up for all those things. Like, yo, draw this on my letter. I gotta send to my girl.
Was you charging though? Is the real question.
Nah, I wasn't, because like I said, I wasn't. It didn't occur to me that I need to be making, or that I could make money off of this. It was just something like, I was like, I do this anyway, whether I'm getting paid or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna doodle it anyway, so I might as well just give it
out.
Yeah.
And so I look back on that and I'm like, bro, if I had the hustler spirit back then, I probably wouldn't have been an artist. I probably would have been way somewhere else, realizing how much more money I could make.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I guess I wasn't taking money back then, so that I could
get what you
fall in love with the craft and not fall in love with the money.
Yeah, facts. As far as your art pieces, I know I've seen two that I want. I can't afford. I'm not asking for the homie discount. I'm not, but I really love the message behind the one. It's like the American flag, but it's like the KKK hoods, like red, white, and blue. I love that.
I love that.
But I love the other one though, is the name I think is My Brother's Keeper.
Oh yeah.
They're like they tying the do-rags behind each other, like each individual. Like does your art does it mimic like what's being done? Because I don't know when you made that American flag piece or whatever case is. It probably was during the Trump regime or whatever case is. But like far as like, does it have moments of time that's just how you feeling that day, or like do you think of a whole collective of like art that you finna just do for like a whole?
It depends. I do a lot of the work that I create is very thoughtful and very purposeful, and so there definitely are series of works that follow a theme that has been thought out and planned. But then there's other things that happen just in because I think that piece that you're talking about, the American flag piece, I don't remember exactly what happened, but this was like early pandemic. That summer, when there was just all kinds of just civil unrest and things just going crazy. And I'm sure it happened everywhere, but here in Dallas, like they were targeting protesters and like trying to, take them out, with rubber bullets to the face. And, a couple of people here lost their eyes, and it was crazy. And so, I just I say recently, but within the last, my daughter's 3 now. So recently had a baby. And whereas I used to be out in the streets and about that life and being out there and protesting
activists
with a newborn at the crib during a pandemic, I was like, it's just not really intelligent for me to be out there, but I still want to be part of the, have my voice heard and be part of it. So with that piece in particular, I knew it was going to ruffle some feathers. I knew it was going to piss some people off, but I was like, I don't care, bro. Like this is what needs to be, for that particular piece, especially. There were too many arguments being had of people not understanding that there's 2 different Americas and that there's 2 different viewpoints. And I mean, multiple different, but especially, in terms of how it applies to me personally. There's a different experience for Black men and Black people in general, but especially Black men in America. And so the fact that there were so many people kind of pushing back against that belief, or even, acknowledging that there was a difference, was pissing me off to the point where I was like, all right, you're not going to understand it. Like, no matter how we articulate it, no matter how we present it, you're not going to understand it because you don't want to understand it. Because you have so much of your identity tied into America being an amazing place, that admitting that it's not, kind of affects you personally. And so I wanted to do, like, whether you agreed or not, whether you got on board with it or not, I definitely wanted to do something that was from our perspective, how we see, something that, same thing with like the like piggybacking on the whole like Colin Kaepernick stuff right around the same time as well. You see it as something that you should revere and that, you have pride in, whereas, other people, it might not be the same, it's a different experience. So that piece was definitely reactionary to the things that was going on. And the My Brother's Keeper piece was kind of reactionary, but not as sensational in a sense, because it was something that had kind of been like building and slow brewing of me being tired of not seeing Black people and Black men represented in a positive light in fine art and street art specifically. And I just wanted to like have some sort of positive imagery, because I'm just one person. I can't, undo however many years of being seen in media as a pimp, a drug dealer, a criminal. But I was like, I do have a little bit of a voice, and y'all gave me a 120-foot wall. I'm going to make some 14-foot tall, Black men like adjusting each other's crowns, basically.
I love that piece.
So that you can't ignore it, because it's just massive. And right around that same time when all that was going on, I made a concerted effort to, like I said, there's not in museums and galleries throughout the world, throughout history, there's very few examples and representations of us. And so I wanted to make a concerted effort to start adding to, creating imagery of us in those spaces, in those quote unquote prestigious spaces. And so in doing that, I made it a concerted effort to, take up space quite literally. So every time I'm, working on something like that, I'm trying to take up as much space as possible so that it's
It can be
impossible
seen.
to ignore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's being seen for sure. For sure. Speaking of that the one piece with the American flag, and I know you said you don't give a fuck, but are you like ever worried about like just any piece period probably getting some type of backlash, or like is that just your attitude? Like fuck it, like you can't adjust my feelings or adjust my art to make you feel comfortable type shit. Like
Yeah, no, for sure. Because like I said, there's so much of their identity tied up in the American flag and just the American myth that it definitely, I'm not gonna say terrified me, but it definitely was something in the back of my mind that, before my daughter was born, I'd be like, yeah, I want the smoke, so let's go. But now that my daughter is here, I have to be a little bit more
cautious.
a little bit more cautious and just more careful, especially with the way, people are getting doxxed and swatted left and right. Like,
Yeah.
like I said, if it was just me and my wife, if it was just me, then I'm like, all right, bet, let's go. But
yeah, that's the thing. Like when you have kids, like you have a family and things like that, like you have to adjust. Because I'm the same exact way. Like a lot of shit that I do now is literally only for my family and kids.
No,
and that's literally about it. Like yeah, I'll be somewhere laid up, not doing shit, but I go to work every day. I figure shit out, like everything. That's literally just for my family and kids. Because at a certain point, you realize like that's who you got to live for, and like whether it be next generation or like whatever, like when that snaps in your brain, like you just like, oh shit, yeah, like it's just certain things I can't do. Like no matter what my beliefs are, like it's just something that I can't do.
No, for sure. And like I said, I don't want to be, because of my ego or because of my, wanting to have a voice and fight stuff, I don't want to put her in harm's way, because if something ever happened to her, one, I'd be mad at myself for letting it get to that point, but also I'd burn that motherfucker down. Like it wouldn't, it wouldn't be
they go up.
Wouldn't be no being civil after that point. So
I understand that.
Like I said, I know that about myself, so I'm like being as cautious as possible, because me going to jail is also me out the equation. So
that's very true.
That is very true.
Like I said, I have to be smart and be there, even if that means me holding my tongue and not
letting shit go.
Saying what I really want to say.
Yeah, but do you feel like the times where you can't really say exactly what you want to say, you feel like you get that message across through your art instead of, because I know you mentioned that, before, the kid, your daughter and stuff, you'd be out in the street along with everybody else marching and protesting and whatever. And do you feel like that is enough being said in your art pieces to kind of, I guess, accentuate like what you would normally do?
Yeah, I think so. I think like I said, I think if it's something that is weighing on me, day in, day out, week in, week out, then I mean, it's something that definitely that's something I'm passionate about. I'm gonna speak up on it, whether it's Insta stories or Twitter or an art piece. But I'm a lot more tactful with how I approach that and not be so
direct.
Like I mean, I'm still direct, but I'm not as inflammatory as I once would have been, before my daughter was born, because there was a lot of times where I would say some shit because I knew it was going to get a rise out of people, and it's how I felt, but I said it the most abrasive way possible because I knew it was going to.
I'm gonna get my point across whether you like it or not. Like I'm gonna
and so now, like I said, I'm a little bit more tactful, and I don't go so abrasive. Like I still say what I need to say in a direct form, but I don't do it so abrasively because a lot of it too. Aside from, like I said, my daughter. I still have to pay bills. And so me doing like some brand deals and shit now, I have to like I have to not I have to not make an easy Google of them being like, oh yeah, hell no, we're not, we're not going with this guy.
Say this guy endorses this, endorses that. You got to watch out for him.
Which, even if that was the case, like I always justify even that mentality with, you know, if they go to my Twitter and they disagree or they're mad about anything I've said on Twitter, or, you know, pull up, you know, backlogs of Insta stories or whatever of some shit that I've said. Like I said, because I'm more calculated with what I say, I stand by whatever it is. So if they're mad about it, then it's not a brand I would want to work with anyway. Because
that's right.
We don't have this, like, we're not aligning.
Yeah, we're not aligning. We don't have the same views, or you don't understand where the fuck I'm coming from. So it's all right.
So it is what it is. And I'm not mad at it, because I wouldn't want to work with somebody that, you know, our values don't align, because you'll say some wild shit, and hell no, I don't want to be attached to that. So
for sure. I called this episode a non-fungible inner talk. And it's pretty much a play on NFTs.
Yeah.
Are you in that world of like having your art as an NFT and stuff like that? Like, do you believe in NFTs? Do you think NFTs are like diminishing the art? Like, do you? How do you?
I know you do some like virtual art too. I'm wondering how you feel about that too.
So I think NFTs in their conception, I think conceptually they're amazing, and I think you know, secondary market is, especially for artists, you know, being able to make money every time your work sells is amazing. I love that aspect of it. I love people being able to get their work to masses and get their work to people that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do it. I also love the fact that a lot of NFTs are digital, in the digital space, created digitally, you know, whether it's Procreate, whether it's Photoshop, whether it's Illustrator, whatever the case may be. I've never been a person that thought that, you know, digital art wasn't art. I love the fact that those artists and the young, because it's an art form that is pretty young in terms of its inception, and so a lot of younger people have access to it. And so, you know, the high-end collectors, the blue chip art, you know, buyers and gallerists and whatnot, they don't see it really for the value that it actually is. So I do love the fact that, you know, younger people are kind of commoditizing like their own work, and it's not, you know, having to go through gatekeepers saying you can release it here and all that stuff. Like those things I love about NFTs. But I was just talking to somebody the other day about like crypto guys and NFT guys are the new vegans.
I like that.
They have to let you know, like, no matter what the conversation is about, they have to bring it up in some form. And I know it's just, you know, they're excited, they're passionate about it. But it comes off as super pushy, super preachy. And I feel like the bubble might burst before things really take off. Just because, you know, there's a group of people that are just tired of hearing about it already, and it's still in its, you know, its growing stage. But there's people that are just so anti NFT just because they're sick of hearing people talk about it, that it may end up killing it, because, like I said, people are passionate, people are excited about it, this new frontier, and I get it. Like, I get it. But it's like the equivalent of also the people that are the most excited about NFT, that are telling everybody to get on board with crypto and NFT and all the other stuff, are also just like the people that have told you about this, you know, this band, their favorite band has been slept on. Forever. They're telling you like, yo, you got to get on this, like, you got to listen to this, you got to check this out. And then when everybody gets on board, they're mad because like, y'all wouldn't hear from the jump. And so so it's that same thing where it's like there's a lot of gatekeepy shit in NFT space and crypto space where they make it purposefully, no pun intended, cryptic, in order to get, you know, even to transfer money from
getting a piece of it.
yeah, like to figure out the inner workings and the nuance and stuff, like to get actual money into a crypto wallet, to even know that you need a crypto wallet to then go and buy Ethereum or Bitcoin or Dogecoin, whatever it is. The processes to get there is so convoluted. And then gas prices fluctuating based on time of day and market and all this other shit.
I feel my finger today. I'm hurt.
Yeah, a lot of people use it. A lot of people use it as like a status symbol of, if I tell you about this, again, they wrap their value and their identity in it so much that if everyone is on board with it. You said what?
They think they get a referral bonus every time they tell you.
Yeah, and like if they feel like if everybody's up on it, then it kind of diminishes their own value, and so they purposefully don't educate people and purposefully don't let people know about it. And so, again, in its concept, I think it's amazing. I don't think where it is right now, it's ready for the masses to do and public consumption, because I always look at my wife's stepmom, who's just a midtown, like super far out suburban, almost boondocks, not even suburban anymore because they're so far out. I look at those people that live out there and I'm like, would they be able to participate in this? And if they don't understand it or they can't participate in it, then I don't believe it's ready for the masses. So until it reaches those people, and until because what NFT people and crypto people always do is, if you have any sentiment that is anti-NFT or perceivably anti-NFT or anti-crypto, they always like, you sound like the people, when the internet was invented, and you're going to be left behind. And I'm like, that would be the case if there was NFT and crypto in, huge barrels and bins at the entrance of every Walmart, the way AOL discs used to be. So until that happens, like, it's not going to reach those randoms out in, the middle of nowhere, that have, very limited Wi-Fi, very limited internet resources. Same thing with like the most hood dude you can think of. Like, if they don't have access to it and they can't get to it readily, then it's not going to pick up the way everybody thinks. It's not going to pick up the way the internet did. So until that happens, it's not ready.
If they start buying weed with Bitcoins, boy, that's going to be something wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me a 3.5 for Bitcoin.
Hey, we might be getting there. So
I mean, I think it will. I think in our lifetime it will. But I just think in its current form, it's not ready.
Yeah, it's a lot of untested waters for a majority of that stuff, and not to mention all the, like, there's good side of it and there's bad sides of it too, because a lot of people are doing these pump and dumps, especially all these like billionaire people or celebrity people, like just like drawing like doodle bobs and then just calling it like something and just dumping all this money in, telling their fans, and then they go dump their money in it, and then they pull out, and then like it's just a whole mess and whole like
the monkey NFTs took over for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason.
The other thing that I don't think people talk about enough from the perspective of an artist is, like, everybody wants the decentralized web. Like that sounds like such a good idea, taking the power and putting it into people's hands. But the bad part about that is, me being an artist, anyone can just take any of my images and mint them and sell them as an NFT, and there's no customer service for me to call to be like, hey, I need that down, I need that taken, and even if they do, if OpenSea or Formation or whoever, like, if any of them take it down, there's still the chance that somebody else puts it back up, or that it still exists,
and there's no telling how long it's been up, how long they're getting paid from it, and
so my biggest fear right now when it comes to that is just using I don't know, art.com might be a real thing, but just say art.com or art.nft account creates one where they create algorithms, create bots to go to every single Instagram art page and just strip all the images from every artist on Instagram. every artist on DeviantArt, every artist on Pinterest, every art, like
just-
everywhere where their art lives in
You might
JPEG
give
form.
YouTube a whole idea.
Might
just make Google a whole idea because that's all they do for content.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like they upload that into one location.
Yeah.
And people go there because instead of having to search for 100 different artists, they just go to this one location to pull. Like, oh yeah, I want to decorate my meta couch or my meta living room or my meta whatever. They can pull images from this one spot that has unlimited resources, unlimited income, like whatever, to be able to mint every single one of these pieces, and there wouldn't be shit we could do about it as artists. And so because it's such a new technology and a new experience, there's no laws yet. And so until there's like laws that protect the artists, like I've done NFTs before. I've created NFTs. And that's the other thing too, is like people always are like, yo, you got to make that NFT, bro. You got to, and then it's just like NFTs are the new t-shirts. Where, oh shit.
Hold on. Went to sleep on it.
It has like a 20-minute cap. My bad.
It's all good.
Or maybe 30-minute, but NFTs are like the new t-shirts. And so everybody is like, yo, bro, you got to put that on a t-shirt. And then you spend the money to put it on a t-shirt. And then that shit sits in your store.
Yeah.
So, like I said, everybody wants you to make an NFT, and then you make the NFT and it sits there. Cause I made it. One of the NFTs that people kept asking me about, I made last April, and that shit is still hadn't had a single bid on it. Hasn't had any, whatever. So I'm just like I said, until random Joe Blow, everyday people can participate, then I don't think it's something that I'm gonna do, or until laws protect the artists.
Yeah,
that'd definitely be nice because the only thing that you all can really do is like low key like do like a copyright type thing, but shit, you got to go through steps just to damn near probably get through that, right?
Yeah, and like, even if I have the image, like, because there's like a quote unquote poor man's copyright. So if I publish it online, I can prove, with metadata to show like I published this on this date, whatever. But you still have to have the capital to, hire a lawyer that's going to find
go through all that shit. Yeah,
go through all that shit. And so, but if they mint it before I get a chance to mint it, or even if I was going to mint it at all, they would arguably have just as much right now under the current law would have just as much argument that I minted this is mine. I can prove that, I own the JPEG, whatever. So it's just super ugly, super messy, super sticky right now. That, like I said, it terrifies me. And so until we're at a point where it protects the artists, it doesn't make sense for me to do it, because otherwise I'm having to like mint every single piece that I create. And I'm like, bro, I make shit 4, 5, 6 paintings a week sometimes. And so I'm like, bro, I'm not about to mint every one of these bitches just so I can, protect myself.
Yeah.
So
okay. As far as art, do you have like a favorite artist or somebody that you like look up to, or like is everything just off the rip of your own, just like fuck it, I'm gonna pick up a bucket or pick up a paintbrush and just say I'm gonna go to town today? And
I think it's both. I think whether we want to admit it or not, we're always influenced by just the world around us. So whether it's movies, whether it's music, whether it's TV, whether it's books, anime, comic books, like we're inundated with information from every direction. Whether we're mindlessly scrolling on TikTok for hours, whether we're mindlessly scrolling on Instagram for hours, we're consuming a lot of information every single day. And so without knowing it. And so I definitely have my favorites and people, like artists that I have always loved their work. Most notably, probably Barkley Hendricks and Kehinde Wiley on the painting side of things. Just because we paint this, similar things, black figures. Barkley Hendricks is probably somebody I'm closer influenced by, just because it's usually the black figure on a solid colored background.
Mhm.
So definitely him, but also like one of the first portrait artists that I, fell in love with was Chuck Close. As problematic as he ended up being, in late life, but his works like from the 70s and 80s were the first hyper realistic portraits that I saw. And so that's who I tried to pattern my work after originally, was Chuck Close. And then like I said, once I found out about black artists that weren't doing middle of the mall black man holding up black woman,
Yeah.
holding
Old school
kneeling, holding up the globe. Once I found out that there was other black artists that were making work that that was more in line with what I enjoyed looking at,
Yeah.
then it kind of opened up a lot of avenues. And so I mean there's so many, like there's people that are uber famous, but then there's also people here in Dallas that I look at, people from around the rest of the country. Like I love Max Saint Sing, like his work is incredible. He's out of Chicago. And
Okay.
trying to think of other people that I like I said, there's just so many people that I'm always, every time they post something new, I'm like trying to pick it apart and really like examine, if I had to make this right now, if I got hired to make the same thing right now, how would I do it? How would I go about it? And so I've been really fortunate enough to meet quite a few of the people that I look at online, and I actually do get to pick their brains and ask them like, yo, why'd you do that? Or like I said, it's just Pape Solomon is another one on Instagram. That dude, I got to see his work in person at Art Basel last year for the first time. Like I've been following him online for about 2 years now, but seeing his work in person, like I usually feel really good about my own work, and I'm like, yo, I'm solid, I'm good out here. And then I saw his work in person and was just like, God damn.
To the drawing board.
Yo, this dude here, man.
I'm glad you said that. I'd be wondering if that's a natural thing for artists to feel like that imposter syndrome. Like when you see another artist that you kind of like and you see their body of work, like how do you like kind of like either like get around it or get out of that, or like do you just stay in that little mode, or where you feel like I don't know if my stuff's good enough compared to this person?
So like I said, I'm super competitive. Excuse me. I'm super competitive. So, growing up playing sports my whole life, I don't know that I ever really experienced imposter syndrome the way other people have, explained it to me. Because I've always, maybe it's delusion, maybe
Hey, delusion's a good thing in this
like
case.
maybe it's being delusional, but there's very few times, when I'm in a space with a piece or with a body of work that I feel like I can't do this. And when I do feel that way, it's less about me beating myself up about not being able to do it. I just like reserve myself to just being like, yeah, bro, I could paint for 16 hours a day for the next 12 years and I'll never reach that level. Like my hands just don't work that way. My brain just doesn't see things that way. And so when it comes to those type of works and those type of people, I don't really, like I said, it's not really an imposter syndrome, because it's not like me comparing myself to their skill level, because like I said, I learned pretty early on that there's a
levels.
There's it's not just that there's levels, there's like, so one thing that I always tell people is people that don't feel like they like art or they don't understand art, every single thing that we do, whether it's the chair we're sitting in, to the computer we're on right now, to whatever, like that had to go through a designer's hands, that had to go through an artist's hands to get there, whether it's a street light, whatever, like the engineers that make the roads or whatever, like all of these things started as sketches,
blueprints.
And so we look at art as this like aristocratic thing, but it's a lot more involved in our everyday life.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like good design, you don't recognize it, you don't see it, you don't notice it, but you do notice it when it's like bad design, when stuff is broken, when stuff doesn't feel good in your hands, when it's not comfortable to sit in or whatever. So what I tell people all the time is like, you can be a sports fan and not be a fan of every single sport. And so when it comes to like skill level, you know, you could be you could say, yeah, I'm a huge sports fan, but you're only really a basketball and football fan. Because if somebody tried to sit you down and made you watch curling or inline skating or like whatever, like you might not want to sit through that. Badminton or whatever, like you might be like, no, bro, I don't want to do that. And so what I had to realize was like, even though like even football and basketball, for example, like even though they're both, you know, sports, they both have the word ball in them. Football is a completely different sport, like different rules, different looks, different equipment, everything to basketball. And it's the same thing with like art is you can be an amazing basketball player and be a terrible football player. So with what I do, like I can be amazing at what I do, but then I can still see somebody else that's amazing at what they do and not be envious because it might not be something I want to do. It might be something that I'm like, yeah, nah, like that fool is, even if it is something that I want to do or something that's in the same vein of what I do, I see it as, like I said, just for what it is. Like, you can be an NBA player and not be LeBron James or not be Kevin Durant or not be Steph Curry, but you still are one of the 400 best basketball players in the world.
You one of the ones who
any given year, you're, you know, the 450th, you know, last place in the NBA. You're still 450th among 7 billion people this year.
Right.
So like, you know, there's videos online, like if anybody wants to go look at those, like Brian Scalabrine cooking fools on the court because they're talking shit, and he's just like, all right, bro, if you didn't play in the NBA, you cannot beat me in basketball. And we look back and we see Brian Scalabrine and be like, that fool's not an athlete. Like, no way he's beating the most athletic, you know, open gym dude. And he has multiple videos of him cooking fools.
Watching them.
So yeah, like I said, I think just being in the room and being in that conversation is cool. But like I said, I'm a realist, and when somebody is that much better than me where I don't even see a avenue of how I would even get there, like I'm not a hater. I'm just like, yo, that fool is cold and a bitch. Like that fool is nice. Like he's nice. And so again, that's why I like to look at like process videos and really get in there and look and see how they did something, because there might be something in their technique, something in a way that, you know, they approach it or they, you know, attack it that I haven't thought of or that I don't utilize or that I've tried, but I didn't have enough information or enough, you know, life experience to really execute it that way. And so I'm always like going back and trying to keep honing my skills and not just rest on my laurels and be like, yo, I've done this, so I'm good. So I'm always like, more than anything else, like I'm being competitive with myself and trying to, one of my secret weapons, I don't really like to tell people a lot, but I always, at the end of the day, when I'm like being, I don't know, in my growth mode or trying to learn stuff, I imagine if me today and me yesterday were going up for the same job, how would I use something that I learned today to beat myself from yesterday out for the job?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
That's how I kind of approach everything, is just get better every day and then just, you know, stack those days up until, you know, you have something to show for it.
Okay. Do you have like would you ever, I'm not sure on how far your artwork goes, but like, would you collab with like another artist, or like have you collabed with another artist, like probably either on the same piece or like on the same type of collection or something like that?
Yeah. I've done many collabs. I haven't done many recently of us working on the same piece. My wife and I, like my wife is an artist as well, so we've worked on pieces together recently. But as far as other people working on pieces, like one of my best friends here in Dallas, we go paint, like just there's like a free wall here in Dallas that's like near my studio that, you know, we'll get up early before it gets too hot during the summer and just go out and paint every day. or every weekend. And so he and I will just work on, the same wall and do like some tandem stuff together. But as far as like studio stuff where we're working on the same canvas, I haven't done that recently. But yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to it. A lot of the more collaborative stuff that I've been doing lately has been like me doing stuff for like brand deals and corporate stuff. So yeah, no, I'm definitely not opposed to it.
Okay. So it's safe to say that you still learn, like you were saying, like you learn like on an everyday still up to this moment. Is there something, I guess something like, what's the most important thing that you learned from a past, probably like a past artwork or something like that, that you wish like you had a redo to make it a little bit better? Or like, do you revisit your old work or something like that? Or like,
nah, I never really go back to old work. I'll create something new with the new information before I go back. And part of it is I like the new beginning, but another part of it too is there's nowadays, like I'm extremely blessed and extremely privileged to say that a lot of my work sells. And so once I finish it, it usually goes out the door.
Immediately.
So, yeah, so I'm like, I don't really
have the
luxury of going back in and rework it. But again, even if I did have that luxury, even if it was here, I wouldn't do it because I would rather just start a new piece.
Okay.
But every single piece that I do, I try to make the best piece that I've ever done. Sometimes I succeed at that, sometimes I don't. But the goal going into every single piece is for me to outdo the last piece and just keep building on that. So it's always me trying to, like I said, use something that I've learned, some new technique, something that, I'm busy enough now that I have to be a lot more diplomatic about how I approach certain things and be a lot more efficient with how I like am working on stuff. So I'll definitely try to figure out ways to be, quicker or use this technique instead of this technique so that, even if it saves me 5 minutes, that's, 5 more minutes of rest. That's 5 more minutes, hanging out with my daughter, 5 more minutes sitting on the couch doing nothing. So, you stack up enough of those 5 more minutes throughout the course of a day, then
enough time.
Yeah. Time where you get time to work on other projects or whatever. And it took me a lot of years because we grew up in this internet culture of you can sleep when you're dead, you grind, rise and grind. That it took me way too long in my career to realize like resting is just as productive as doing shit.
Peace of mind. I always say peace of mind is the best thing that a person can have.
And so I'm like I said, I'm a lot more particular about attaching myself to certain projects and attaching myself to certain things because you've seen it in every 90s movie of the dad showing up to the recital after it's already over and the kid looking like he's not here again. And the dad in all those movies, the dad was always looked at as like, man, you just can't get right. But now that I am a dad, I understand you're trying to provide for your family. You're trying to do things that, set you up financially. And
still trying to make
when at the end of the day, all your family wants, your wife, your kid, whatever, all they want is just you there. You'll figure out the financial shit. You'll figure out the other stuff. So, I've learned to just be present and, get off my phone when I'm with my baby girl and really make memories with her. And when it's work time, but also like factoring in the time to just hang out and have tea parties and
dress up.
Yeah. all the things.
I'm there.
Like all the things. And so, yeah, like I said, just making time for those things, and because that's, you know, at the end of the day, that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
you know, this deadline or this project that you worked on that took them away from this. All they're going to remember is, you know, my daddy was there for me
Yeah, they're not gonna remember
every
your,
night when I went to sleep, or
your
you know,
60-hour work week. They ain't gonna remember that.
yeah,
I remember the time you spent singing
yeah,
with them their favorite movie or something.
exactly.
Okay, so far as pricing on your I guess on your art, how do you go about that? Like, do you go about far as, because like, do you just guess like, man, no, that might be like $2,400? Like, I feel like as much passion and much work is like, do you go off like hourly of like how long it take you to like manifest your vision on paper or on canvas,
Materials
or
or
like, yeah, like what
Yeah.
do you like, how do you base that?
what's your whole process on that?
So, so this is a very, like, a lot of people are super cryptic when it comes to like how they price things, and because no one gives anyone like definitive answers about how they should be pricing things. Um, and so I try to be as transparent as possible when it comes to those types of things. I used to just I used to charge hourly, but then I saw Chris Doe, which is a graphic designer that's like really popping on like social media and YouTube and shit. He's like the graphic design Gary V, basically.
Mhm.
Um, he made it a point, like in one of his videos, to talk about, you know, are you valuing the time, or are you valuing the skill level and the work that you're receiving? And so, you know, if you tell somebody that you're charging by the hour, but it only takes you 5 hours, they're gonna only want to pay you for 5 hours.
All right.
But if, you know, if it turns around and takes me 90 hours, they're not gonna bump up, you know, what the charge or what they're
Gotcha.
paying you because it took you 90 hours. And so there, in that regard, I stopped charging by the hour and made it more of a set a definitive price, something that can be replicated, something that I can stand in and not have to worry about, you know, the last person I quoted this, but, you know, if they find out that I quoted this person this price,
Yeah.
then, you know, it's bad for
They'll start
business
asking
type situation.
questions and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came up with a metric, which I would suggest everyone that's in the creative space do. I came up with a metric that, whether it's a mural, whether it's a canvas piece like in studio, I have a price per foot, and whether it's, or per inch when it's a canvas piece.
Mhm.
No matter whether it's solid color, no matter whether it's, you know, empty canvas, whatever, if the canvas itself is a certain, you know, square inch,
Yeah.
I charge a certain amount per square inch.
Okay.
And same thing with like with a mural or an outside piece, or, you know, a larger piece, I charge by square foot. That way, whether you're getting a 10-foot by 10-foot mural or a 100-foot by 200-foot mural,
Whatever. Yeah.
I'm charging you the same rate. And like, because of that, because I'm consistent in that, I can tell you a price and not have to blink about it, or not have to be like, well, is that too expensive? Is that too, I can justify why I'm charging that. And then, even if I never justify it to, you know, the client, I can justify it in my own head.
Price
And
is the
so,
price.
Yeah.
Price is the
Full time.
price.
by doing that, it, like I said, it can let you talk about price, because pricing is a difficult thing to talk about. You know,
Yeah.
talking about money to people is difficult. And so if you can have, you know, a little bit of confidence in knowing that this is what the price is, whether you're a millionaire or whether you're a, you know, a person, yeah, like a, you know, a family person or whatever. Yeah, like,
Penny roller.
yeah, no matter who you are, I'm gonna charge that same rate. Like, I'm not one of those people that I'm like, oh, who is it for? Oh, yeah, he, you know, he's an NFL player, so I'm gonna charge him this versus. And I definitely will, you know, look out for people, and meet them where they are, and, you know, do payment plans and stuff like that. But I've learned, you know, through very, very difficult lessons, that every single time I've tried to hook people up and give them the player price and do stuff, it's become way more work and way more headache and way more, like I said, it just wasn't worth the time and energy involved. And
You don't
so,
want to be a bill collector.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That part, people are, I'll just come pick it up from you, and then having to coordinate schedules and meet up with them to come get it and do all. I'm just like, bro, just let me. This is what I charge, and let me mail it. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
about to be sitting here and you holding my day hostage because you're not here at the time you said you were going to be here. And
Yeah.
I got too much other stuff. Again, goes back to like I meticulously plan my day, probably over plan my day. So, any 3-4 minutes wasted, I'm like, bro, I could have been doing something else. I didn't need to be here, waiting. And, if it gets into 30, 40, 50 minutes of waiting, I'm just like, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like, I guess, prints or your originals being sold more? Like which is better, I guess, in your case? Like,
I don't have a preference. I try to get my art in the hands of people that want my art. And so I'm at the point now where my original works are not affordable. Large scale original works, I should say, aren't really affordable for most people. And so I want to always have work at a price point that like a regular Joe Blow everyday person that, has a 9 to 5 can afford. Because like I said, I'm a firm believer that art belongs to the people and not just the people that can afford it. And so I try at least, once, twice a year to do something that's like a more affordable, more accessible price point. And so whether that's prints, whether that's t-shirts, whether that's small original works. I just did an open studio last week where I took some spray cans, like old spray cans from some murals that I had finished. And instead of throwing those cans away that were empty, painted them and painted originals on those so that you were getting a piece of, a mural that I had worked on, but also getting an original piece. And like the higher end collectors of mine were, like, hey, you need to be charging, $300, $400, $500 for those. And I was charging $125. And so I was just like, you're not going to be able to get my originals, for that low ever again. So being able to make it like I said, I'm gonna try to at least do it once or twice a year. Just new batch of those or something similar that is in that same price point. So no matter how how expensive my other works get, I still want to have something. And maybe it gets to a point where I just efficiency wise won't be able to do originals, like 100% originals. Maybe it's hand embellished prints or just something. But I always want to do something that is the people that want it will be able to get it.
Okay. So this is pretty much my last question. I don't know if Malcolm has something else. So as far as legacy, the reason I think that I do YouTube so much and like as frequent as we do it now is because like whenever I do pass along, Lord willing, no time soon, knock on wood, air wood, whatever. Like far as the legacy, like do you want your art to be just go far and wide and like far as like your kid, you have one kid or two kids?
Just one.
Just one. It's like far as your kid, like do you want it to be like passed down like from generation to generation? Like how do you feel about just that far as like legacy of just like Jeremy?
Yeah, that's a really huge concept and running theme in my work is legacy. And it started before my daughter was born, of me wanting to leave behind something and tell some stories and have that be part of my story. But it amplified once my daughter was born. And so a lot of the works that I create, especially street art pieces, I have her, at the center of those pieces when it comes to murals and stuff like that, because one, I want it to be a time capsule of, where she is. And basically I can point to any of those murals and see like, that's when she was 1 year old. That's when she was 2 years old. That's when she was 3.
That's dope.
Like I said, like a time capsule, but also, when I'm not around anymore, if those murals are still here, 15, 20, 30, 50 years from now, God forbid, if I'm not around, then she'll still be able to, I'm basically leaving like little love letters all over, the world for her to find and to be able to see, my daddy did that. And so that legacy is definitely something that's huge in everything that I do, because my mom passed away when she was 44. My dad passed away when he was 59, 58, 57, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
So, me being 40, like that mortality is definitely something that is always in the back of my mind. And so I want to do as much as I can while I can, especially like with the murals and street art stuff, because I'm not trying to be climbing scaffolds and getting into lifts and shit at 50. So like I'm good now, my knees are fine now. Yeah, I say they're fine, but
Me.
Yeah.
they got 30 years of basketball mileage on them, but 35 years of basketball mileage on them.
35,000 miles on your knees, man.
35, and I lost 60 pounds last year, so it was even more wear and tear on my shit. But
you got used knees.
Oh, God damn it. My bad. But yeah, like it's definitely, I'm not trying to do that, 50 and beyond. So I want to do as much as I can right now while I can. But also it, having her be a part of it, whether she wants to be an artist or not, whether she wants to be part of, that or not. I want to make the best, give her the best opportunity and the best situation that I can, whether she wants to be an accountant or a plumber or a mechanic or, in the creative space. I just want to be as much of an asset as I can to her and be, if it's in the art space, even better, because, I have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge in that space. So being able to help her in that regard would be amazing. But if it's something else, like I said, whatever it is, we're going hard. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, no, legacy is definitely a huge word in everything that I do.
Okay.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's like the best time capsule ever. Like you having your daughter around each one of the art. So like, and that's like crazy because like if you think about it, it's crazy because like if you think about it too, like she can bring her kids, and her kids can bring the kids, and like that's insane, man. That's
man.
Awesome.
It's I mean, realistically, Dallas doesn't give a shit about history. So those buildings won't exist. The ones that here in Dallas, they'll tear those shits down to create an apartment in a heartbeat. So
the art will still be around though, like it still be transferred
but
from hand to
I was
hand.
about to say, but the art will still be there. Maybe not the murals themselves, but images of the art, or I'm pretty good about documenting all the work and creating books and things that will exist long after I'm not here, even if it's the originals or reproductions in books or whatever it may be.
Do you have coffee table books, like little coffee table books and stuff like that?
I don't have any of I have some of my photography. I have a couple of zines of like the film photography stuff that I've been working on. And I think this year I'm gonna do a like a I don't want to call it a retrospective because I don't feel like I've done enough stuff to do a retrospective yet, but I'm gonna do a art book this year. So
I need in on that.
Yeah, I've never done one of those yet. So I think now is the time to pull the trigger on that. And I have enough images to really because I really want to go back and like pull some of the shittier works to show that progression, because I feel like a lot of people, social media has taught us to see, what people present and what people show right now. And, of course, that's going to be a highlight reel and they're going to show the shit that they're the most proud of. but I want to go back and show stuff that I was proud of back then, but I look at now and just cringe because I'm like, yo, that shit.
You're like, I don't even do my art that way no more.
Yeah.
Like, who drew this?
It's important because, like, my wife and I have this conversation all the time. Like, if you look back on something that you did, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and you don't cringe, that means you haven't grown. You still have that same taste level. And so if I'm not cringing about some shit that I did 15, 20 years ago, then I need to do more work. Yeah, I need to do more work and grow and learn.
You're complacent.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna compile some images this year and go ahead and release a book because
put me up for pre-order. Yeah, put me up for pre-order for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I didn't realize how far like your like art has like reached, because I've seen stuff like not even knowing, because I remember when he first told me like, oh yeah, we're interviewing Jeremy, and like he does art and does this, that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and I'm like looking at your stuff and I'm like, yo, I've seen this before. And it's like I never knew the artist name, or like, how you see stuff of like everybody sharing stuff, and like, it's kind of bad because you don't get to see like whose face it is, who it belongs to. And then it's just like it's just crazy how like you see stuff and then you like, man, this is nuts, because like the same images and stuff that I've saw, like my wife like pointed out, because like she had found out today we were like interviewing you, and she was like excited and stuff. She was like,
she fanned out. She definitely fanned out.
Yeah, she's like, oh my god, that's crazy. She's like, she sent me like, like pictures and stuff like and that I liked and stuff, and I was like, man, this is fucking cool. And like, and I didn't realize, it didn't hit me until like I was like looking at all of your stuff, and I was like, yo, I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen that, I've seen this.
Yeah,
this is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride, man. It's been pretty tight, I'm not gonna lie. Been able to do some really cool shit, so yeah, that's super tight.
That's dope. I'm gonna ask you one more question. This is a stupid art question.
Let's go.
Do you know Banksy? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, everybody does. That's obvious.
Shit. God damn it.
No, fuck no. I don't know. No, not at all.
Like, why the fuck I ain't get the memo?
I have no clue. I have theories. Not that I know who it is, but I have theories that like I feel like Banksy is a collective at this point. I feel like it started as one person and now it's a lot of different people.
Might be Elon Musk.
But also yeah, also, I mean, that might just be me hating and being like, there's no way one person is this goddamn brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, be a collective. Yeah.
Yeah. So
motherfucker keep coming back from the future like he fucking Simpsons around this motherfucker.
I feel like if it was a lot of people, there's no way that many people keep that a secret. So I go back to it has to only be one person.
Yeah.
But then also, like, there's no way, bro. There's no way. Like, the fool is everywhere. The fool is everywhere at once.
Oh man.
Painter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Shit. Got the fucking time stone or something.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
I guess we're gonna give it to like I give it to what the hell is my probably like 9:25 maybe. Play some tunes. A couple of people want to ask some questions. I'm pretty sure Jasmine is still in the chat somewhere watching live. So I'm pretty sure it's something that she would like to ask. But yeah, man. I just want to thank Jeremy for coming through, because this is dope. Like I say, every time we interview somebody, I see somebody doing some dope shit, and Jeremy's been doing dope shit. We just haven't had a person to tag in the pictures when we do see them, and like,
hey,
when we find out who it is, like, hey, you.
Yeah, the internet is it's an amazing place, but it also is terrible about sharing. Crediting people for stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I get it. So I appreciate y'all for having me, because I always jokingly tell my wife, I was like, man, I don't feel like I do enough podcasts. I don't feel like I get invited on podcasts enough.
You never thought
Well,
about
there
doing
you
your
go.
own podcast?
Oh yeah, no, I started my own podcast. It was terrible. So I got all the
Ours
equipment.
ain't
That's
that
why.
good either. Don't get it twisted. Ours ain't that good either.
I mean, but y'all have it. Yeah, it's consistent. Like I bought all the equipment. I bought I got the mixer and the interface, and like I really did it up because I was like, yo, this is about to be the thing, bro. I'm about to be on. And this is like, I don't know, like probably a year before the pandemic started. And so I was like, yo, I got the shit. Like, let's go. Let's do this thing. And then I did the first couple of interviews and realized I like talking on podcasts. I don't like interviewing people.
Okay. Understand.
Yeah. So I was like, meh.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I just ask the question and, engage once they answer, but then it's mostly just like facilitate them talking and less about me, like more conversational. And so, if it was like two people on the podcast, then it probably would have been a little bit more conversational, but it was just me.
Back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like, it was basically like the type of talk show that I hate, like that Colin Cowherd, like just a person sitting in a room with a microphone talking to themselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no.
Like, I feel kind of weird. Like I talk to myself all the time, but if I'm doing it like right now and everybody can see me talking to myself, it don't feel right.
Yeah. Or like the whole, like I make a point and then I pause for dramatic emphasis, like as if I'm waiting for somebody to respond. Like it just looks so pretentious, bro. I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
I can't even do that. I ain't even that type of guy.
It's like, nah, bro. I can riff and talk to people all day, but me being in a room by myself talking and just that shit was not for me.
Understood. I don't know if you can see the comments, Jeremy, but Jasmine did ask 2 questions. She said, "What's your favorite art medium?" And also, how did you hone your style?
My favorite art medium is so I love oil paint, but I also hate oil paint. And I love acrylic, but I also hate acrylic.
Is it because of the prices, like gas?
Nah. So
like texture.
Oil is like super buttery and it's like a joy to work with when it's working well. But if you make a mistake, you have to live with that mistake for 5 to 7 days before you can fix that mistake.
Okay.
And so if you're in the studio looking at a mistake that you made, you just have to look at that shit and have it look at you for 7 days.
Keep walking past that shit. Keep walking past that shit like, I'm gonna fucking get this.
Yeah, you don't understand the need to punch a fucking canvas every time you walk by it because you made some stupid ass, like you were rushing mistake. And then acrylic. For the first 18 years of my career, I painted solely with acrylic. And recently, like within the last 3 years, I started painting with oils. And so I've gotten to a point now where I used to be really good with acrylic, where you couldn't tell if it was oil or acrylic. But now that I've been painting with oils, like for the last 3 years, trying to go back to acrylic, I'm terrible at it. And so it's annoying. But like I said, if I had to pick one right now, I would probably say I have the most experience with acrylic. But once I put in more years with oils, I'll probably never paint with acrylic again. But also the reason I've been painting with acrylic here recently is because people keep hitting me with these impossible ass deadlines, and the way I work, like the style in which I work, the piece has to be completely dry so that I can add dots or the other little embellishments. So
okay.
Usually when I have like impossible deadlines, I know I can knock out a piece in a day with acrylic versus with oils. Like I said, I got to wait a week or a week and a half sometimes for stuff to completely dry so that I can seal it and put dots on it and do all that stuff. So yeah, and then as far as like landing on a style or how I honed my style, I just did a lot of work. There's no secret formula, at least none that I found. It's just a matter of doing the work, and you'll like the more work you do and the more you like lay it out, whether that's on Instagram, whether that's on a website, whether that's physically lay it out in the space, wherever you live, and look at it and just start like auditing your own work and figuring out like what recurring themes you keep seeing, you keep doing, colors you keep using, marks you keep making, and then either choosing to deviate from that or choosing to lean in and do more of that. I think is what, develops a style.
Okay.
Is there any medium you won't touch? Like like resin.
Yeah, I fucking hate resin. I hate resin. I hate it because people are really good at it. There's some people that are really, really good at it. I've tried it a couple of times, and I can't figure out. Like, maybe if I had somebody that is very, well versed in doing it, that can, show me the ropes and teach me what I'm doing wrong, then maybe I'll enjoy it more. But me doing it on my own and just looking at YouTube and doing stuff the way they're doing it, and me being a perfectionist, like there's little areas that are bubbling here or divoting here.
Fucking with that same corner for like 2 hours. Like, bro, this shit ain't getting flat. Shit ain't getting flat.
The last resin, I tried to cover a piece with resin, and the last piece that I did, I probably spent $400 just in resin on that piece. Yeah. And I was like, yo, never again, bro. Fuck this.
That stuff is expensive, man.
Yeah. But as far as like materials that I won't use, I'm not a sculptor. So I'm not gonna like, I'd rather pay somebody to do like sculptures or clay. Like if I have an idea that would be best fit in, I just did when like back in November, I released some sculpts of painting that I did, and I'm not a sculptor, but I knew I wanted to release those for the people. And so I hired somebody that can sculpt and let them do it, and then boxed them shits up and sent them out to people because I was like, yeah, I'm not.
He's like, nah, I ain't trying to experiment on this.
It's not even like that I don't want to experiment. I just, again, going back to like the culture that we live in right now, like everybody prides themselves on being able to do everything. Like, yo, I wrote this song, I made the beat, I shot the video, I did. It's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And so I'd much rather spread the wealth and pay people to do the things that they're good at than me be mediocre at doing some shit just to say I did it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need to be that one man band, man.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I'm still learning that because in the video space, like I'm still shooting everything, editing everything, like doing all that myself. And so being able to kind of facilitate and delegate some stuff is definitely something I'm learning still, because I'm like, bro, I don't have time to be doing everything myself.
Yeah, that's definitely understood.
Yeah, that's definitely understood.
Okay. So it's 9:26. We're gonna end the pod here.
I
want to thank Jeremy again for stopping by, being one of the best guests. I never put this on the soundboard every time we have a guest, but I'm ghetto and I forget shit, so and clap. I be forgetting shit. My old person might be kicking in sometime. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, man. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for talking with us. Thank you for letting us know your experience. Thank you for putting us on the game, teaching us stuff. Just letting us into your world a little bit more.
Appreciate you.
Also, shout your socials out right fast. Let me cut this music off.
No, for sure. So I'm Stem Thorn everywhere. STEMANDTHORN. Literally any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. Because for some reason I have an account on Pinterest. Yeah, like Twitter, everywhere. And if you find me anywhere, you'll find me everywhere under that same name. I don't have a, like we just said, I don't have a squad. It's me. So if you find me anywhere, it's me.
It's you.
I'll respond. Shit, I'm even Stemmenthorn at Gmail. So yeah, it's Stemmenthorn everywhere. And yeah, I even have a YouTube. I need to post more frequently.
I might not have a YouTube. Let me think about that.
No, I have a YouTube. It definitely it exists.
Okay.
It's just not.
It's a mostly.
I have yet to make the video that I want to make on YouTube. I haven't figured out my YouTube voice yet. Like I've gotten close.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've figured it out yet. So my YouTube, for whatever reason, ends up being a lot more serious than I am in real life. And so I go back and rewatch it and I'm like, bro, that's not me. That's me. I don't know. It's difficult to articulate, but
practice. That's all. It just takes practice.
Yeah, YouTube is for whatever reason, YouTube kicks my ass. Every time I make a YouTube video, it ends up being like
I was
bro, I'm not happy with this.
That was a joke. How I didn't get my own joke? It was right there.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, you lobbed it up to yourself and then didn't go get it. But yeah, like I said, I have a YouTube. It exists.
Gotcha.
I just haven't made the video that I want to make yet.
Facts. Okay, facts.
It's cool.
But yeah, man. Thank you again.
Appreciate y'all.
DADS podcast. We will be back Saturday. We actually have another guest on Saturday, actually. Hey. But we will be back on Saturday. Make sure to follow, like, hit the subscribe button, all that stuff. Make sure to go follow all the socials, DADS podcast, separate Twitter, 2dads with Dreads. My name is Clint.
My name is Mal.
And we out this bitch. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that, blase. And we will holler at y'all on Saturday. Saturday, we will be hollering at y'all because we got another guest coming through. And I hope y'all enjoyed the podcast. Hope you all enjoyed Jeremy Biggers. And yeah, support. Follow,
support, share, all that good stuff.
Y'all know what to do. All right, peace out.